So we're loading up into Horizon here. I believe into the tester world. This is going to be the screen that you see for the time being in beta. And what I'd like to go ahead and do is just make a collection of tutorial videos as far as how to use the different tools and things like that. I've seen a lot of questions over how you do certain things and how you build. So the first thing I think we should cover, and I guess the first video of Hopefully Mini, is just the basic controls, which you'll have build mode when you're walking around and taking a look at the world. And if you move your right joystick down, you'll go into the actual build mode itself. And there's two different sets of I guess, instructions or ways to use objects. Number one is just the basic controls themselves. So if you take a look on my left hand, I have preview at the top, which if you hold, you can point to where you want to go, and then you can go into preview mode, which is basically a normal world. Then you're going to have your undo and redo. So if you put a block down, for instance, if I take this and I move it over here and decide, oh, I didn't want to put it over there, if you look, my undo is over here. I can pull it back to where it is, or if I want to go ahead and put it forward, I can go ahead and do that as well. And then the other thing is the snap tool, which is down here at the bottom. And if you move your joystick down, you don't have to hold it. You can just select it and it'll turn it on or off. It'll toggle it. And what's really cool is if it's off, you're going to notice even trying to get this block straight, I have to really freehand it. And I'm hoping that, it's where it should be. But if I turn on the snap tool, if you look, now it's staying square no matter where I turn it, versus without it, it kind of tilts just a little bit. And so that's a really cool function. And you can edit this in a couple ways as well, which we can go over here in a little while as well. Over here on your right hand, though, you're going to have your grab tool at the top, which is what we're using here just to grab the object. You're going to have your duplicate option over here, which if you grab an object, you can then duplicate over and over. You have your lock tool. So for instance, on the grab, I can move this. If I move to lock and click it, now I can no longer move it. I can move the other objects all I want, but this object is going to be locked. You can unlock it and now you can move it around. And then you have your paint tool. And so the paint tool does a couple cool things. So one thing that I left out over here was menu. And if you click on the menu button, you can see the several different colors and things like that. And there's other menus down here too that we'll go into. Um, and using this paintbrush, I can select a different color, and we have this cool little effect here. As far as deleting these, one thing that you'll notice is the controllers are adaptive. So if I put my controller in here and grab this, I have new controls now. And down at the bottom is your delete button. And so I can delete objects just by moving my joystick down. So here you're going to be able to not only grab objects, and this is by pushing in the menu button that this screen came up in. So you have your colors down here, which is where we were originally, and then you have your build over here, along with other menus, but those really aren't too important, not in this stage of the tutorial at least. And this is where you're going to get your shapes. You're going to get gizmos. The ones that I usually use are trigger, spawn point, and then scripting, which will go a little more into depth as well, because scripting is going to be very important, especially if you want to build worlds within Horizons. And then you have cool little sounds, background, music sounds, things like that. You don't want to build a world that's completely silent. You want to add some kind of, just the background noise. For instance, if I go over this, I don't know if you can hear it. We'll take a look when I edit the video together. And then just going through these because we already have them up. You have your publishing options, which is the name of the world, what picture you want to use, things like that. You have your debug option, which is where you can stop a world and play it or reset it. So if you do something and you're not sure how it's working based on when the world starts and when the world is already moving. And again, we'll go through this a little more in the scripting, but just know that this is here. And then your settings, I did lie just a little bit. The settings are going to be a little important going back to the snap tool. And the reasoning for it is because if you go to build settings over here on the left side, you can see you can change your grid snap size as well as the snap angle. So for instance, this right here, I can turn it at really minute angles, but if I turn this, let's say, to 45 degrees, I can turn it 45 degrees and then 90 degrees. And so you can really change it exactly how you want it so that when you start building pieces, for instance, this right here, I can start, putting them right next to each other without having to worry that they're not lined up. But now if I make that as a platform, I can see that it's all lined up. There's no steps. It's not, out of alignment. But overall, that's kind of just a walkthrough on the basic controls. Tune into the next video, and we'll see how more in depth we can go with a little more of the controls.